Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talk on WOCA 1398 The Source. We're coming to you from our studios just off the runway at the Ocala International Airport. Cybersecurity ransomware, it's become a big problem. City of Atlanta was held hostage. The pipeline was held hostage. Every day, persons of high-profile organizations have to deal with ransomware. But something I didn't know, and I bet a lot of you didn't know, is nearly 1,700 ransomware incidents in 2020 involve schools, K through 12. With back-to-school season in full swing, teachers and students are transitioning back to the classroom. Schools have to prepare now more than ever for cyber attacks. Here from the Global Threat Intelligence Lead and IBM Security X-Force, Nick Rossmann joins us. Joins us. Nick, good morning to you, and I'll have to be honest with you, I had no idea school systems had this prevalent of a cyber attack put on them. I don't understand that. Good morning to you, and help me understand why they target schools. Is Nick there? Nick, are you there? Nick, are you there? We're waiting on Nick Rossmann to join us on the phone line. We're waiting on Nick Rossmann to join us. He's trying to join us on the phone line. Let's go back out. Nick, are you there?
Hey, this is Nick.
Yeah. Nick, this is Tom Schmitz here. I was saying that, I gave the lead in that ransomware, everybody knows ransomware. They took over the pipeline in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia. They've taken over, hospitals in Atlanta. They've taken over DOTs before. We know all that, but now 1,700 incidents last year were schools, K through 12. Good morning to you. And what benefit does ransomware have taken over school systems?
Tom, thanks so much for having me. School districts are facing so many crises right now, and ransomware is just becoming one of them that we've seen. And there's a couple of key problems, right? So schools often lack the basic cybersecurity training. They have very tight budgets, as well as they've got very valuable data. That makes them ripe targets for cyber criminals. For training, half of all teachers and staff members aren't getting training per some of the school administrators that we talk to. On top of that, budgets are tight. 50% of schools are spending less than $100,000 in cybersecurity training. That's for school districts, right? Not just one school they're protecting. So $100,000 spread across so many teachers and students, and it's all to protect very valuable data. Think about the types of information that a school might have. It could be personally identifiable information about students' health records, financial data. All that makes them a right target for the bad guys.
And probably because they're so young, they have identifications that don't have any kind of credit issues with them at all. So it would probably be easy if you get the student's information, their birth date, their social security number and all, probably be easy to open up a lot of fraudulent accounts in students' names.
Yeah, Tom, that's exactly right. And, the value of that data continues just to steadily rise for cyber criminals as they're going on. And the basics for school districts is they need to do a couple of key things. One is to train students and teachers on cybersecurity, have an instant response plan, be able to know who they're going to call on the good guy side in the event one of these occurs, but also have a cyber crisis communications plan and be able to communicate with the public in case that their school is knocked offline by one of these attacks.
Now, I know that you said some of these schools don't even put less than $100,000 towards their school budget for the entire school system into cyber attacks. You're here, though, representing IBM. What is IBM doing to assist the school systems in trying to figure out how to combat these ransomware attacks?
Tom, schools need all the help they can from the private sector and their community. So IBM set up our Education Security Preparedness Grant. So we awarded $3 million in grant money total to 6 school districts around the country. That's $500,000 per school to have IBMers help them stay secure in the upcoming school year and learn some of the key lessons they'll be able to apply in the future. As well, So this became a key issue for us because we helped the school district in Louisiana get back online after a big ransomware attack in 2019. And that's why it's become a passion project for IBMers as well. And we've got some other resources available for school districts at website ibm.org.
Now, is this is this typically something done by, I envision some 17 or 18-year-old hacker in his grandma's basement doing this. Is that stereotype, erroneous? And who are actually pulling off these ransomware attacks like this?
Tom, these people are really well trained. They're all over the world. These are not amateurs, in any way. They are professionals who are able to do this full time as a job because there's big money behind it when they're able to, ransom a school district, your dentist office, for instance, too, to be able to extract, data from them as well and sell that on places like the dark web.
What can school systems do? Because we're back to school now. School started here this week, and so we're back in school. What can school systems do to get their student body prepared? And because I know sometimes these ransomwares are just as easily downloaded into the system as somebody clicking on the email that they shouldn't have clicked on. So what are some of the things school systems can do to prepare everybody in that school system on how to deal with the possibility of ransomware?
A couple of key things. One, on the budget side, is trying to carve out some money for this. And that can go exactly to that training you talked about earlier for students, for faculty as well, to help them understand, hey, don't click on that email address, that weird link that you're seeing. Help to educate them on some of the ways the cyber criminals are trying to breach their network on the training side. Also embrace cloud technologies. So that software that's running, on the cloud is often safer. And if there's an attack, students can get back online faster to learn if that occurs. But also it helps to patch all of the software. Our technology is constantly getting updated. Security researchers finding new ways in to these technologies. So you've got to stay up to date on these security patches as well.
Is that something that you see in school systems start setting up a division just to deal with cybersecurity? Or are you finding that it's just like one expert or one teacher or administrator at each individual school is doing it? How are school systems handling this? Is it something that they're handling as a different area and they're tackling it? Or is it something they put 3 or 4 people on and say, go to these classes, try to figure it out, and we'll try to wing it? I don't think that'd be the best option.
Yeah, oftentimes it falls on the IT administrator who may not have the security training in all of these ways that the bad guys are trying to get into the school district. So it's falling on one person, maybe an additional administrator, to be able to keep these tools up to date. Also got to think about, during the summertime, cyber criminals are continuing to operate. So schools need to be able to do this basic security work constantly. It needs to be year-round. Tom, we talked to one school district where, they had laptops piling up in the hallways, right? And that was, students had dropped them off at the end of the school year. But that means that those laptops weren't getting updated. So when students were going to come back online, as the school year restarted, all those security patches have to restart. So security's got to be year-round sport, and you got to have the right people ready to go for it.
Well, you got more than 55% of all school districts are operating without any security training. What's going to happen to have that trend change?
Well, one thing we did, we provided some basic videos for schools, students, for faculty members, so they'd be able to learn about what they can do and why cybersecurity is important. That's at that website, ibm.biz/security-grant. They can go to learn more about those. And it's also talking about and having administrators say, hey, why do I need to have such a long password with 16 digits? Why do you tell me not to reuse my password on these different technologies that I've got to sign in on, whether it's things like Zoom or Slack or whatever else you need to be able to stay online? That's where it starts to be able to keep schools secure.
Because of the password incidents, situations and everything, give the viewers a place they can go to find out more information about how they can maybe come up with a way to remember their passwords a lot better, because that's one of the problems why people use passwords. Where can people go find out more information about how to securely start combating cyber criminals and ransomware?
if you're a school district, go to ibm.biz/security-grant. And if you want to learn more, check out some password managers out there. They can be a great way to be able to keep your data secure, whether it's a bank account, your local shopping center that you're going to as well, and your school district's information.
Nick Rossmann took time out to help us better understand the threats we face in a cyber world. Nick, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back after this timeout. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source. We at WOCA recognize the importance of voting. That's why we're offering all the candidates an opportunity to come on the air and explain why they feel you should cast your valuable vote for them. On Monday, August 23rd from 10:30 to 11, our guests will be Brent Molliver and Barry Mansfield, candidates for the office of District 1, Ocala.